Well, hey, everybody. I am Dr. Ward with the Ward Institute. I am a facial plastic surgeon, but somebody who is very, very intense and very excited about fitness and wellness. And I'm here talking today with my good friend, my coach, my colleague, Lance King with XFit about ways that we can transform ourselves and live our best lives. So Lance and I are both just so excited to be able to talk to you and really explain our passion. So Lance, why don't you maybe take a second, introduce yourself, and then we will get right into it.
Yeah. So the best introduction is to first just thank you for making time to explore this wellness program with me. I have such a passion with wellness that really started at a point of an unfortunate loss with my mother in her 40s. And it actually led me, at the time I was doing some fitness coaching, and evolved that fitness coaching into something full time, where I have had a focus for about 15 years on helping people with nutrition and with exercise, and being accountable to a program that's designed around helping people to meet their genetic potential, with the idea that I can improve wellness from the inside out. And so I'm here in Utah, and I work all over the country with people that are interested in understanding what that genetic potential looks like in their current season of life.
Well, I have to say, Lance, it's been so fun to be able to get to know you, to work with you, and to talk about this because we really do both share a passion. We come at it from very different aspects, of course. Um, Me as a facial plastic surgeon, I think it's important for me to kind of express my kind of my real entree. And it's really cool as a surgeon, they call it the practice of medicine. The reason we call that is because we're not perfect. It is a little bit of a practice. But the cool thing is that we have the privilege of learning from our patients. And one of the most poignant experiences of my career came from a patient. I did a rhinoplasty on her. And I saw her like at 6 months after her surgery. And she looked great. Like her nose looked great, but she looked great. And it wasn't her nose. And I knew it wasn't her nose. It was her. She just had this aura about her. She had this confidence. She had this like happiness. And I had to stop this like, you look great, but it's not your, I wish I could take credit for it. It's not your nose. And she's like, you know what? It's kind of my nose, but it's not my nose. It is my nose because doing my nose was the first time that I really invested in myself. She's a busy mom. She works. She's, got a husband, she got kids. Um, it was the first time she had taken some time for her, just for her. And that step helped her realize that it was worth it for her. So what she did is she started eating better, taking care of her body, and everything else in her life improved. And that's kind of what really opened my eyes. And it's really cool that a patient taught me that. It's kind of cool that the things that we learn that are the most poignant aren't things that you learn in medical school or residency. They're what you learn from your patients. And Lance, that's what you do. You work with, like you said, people around the country. You work with entrepreneurs. You work with people from all walks of life. So tell me a little bit about kind of that transformation that you see every day with the work that you do.
I appreciate that. So, where I felt I had the biggest impact is with a lot of entrepreneurs that have had this focus on business success, but unfortunately, their health had gone south. And the unfortunate thing is, so many people, they want to move into these golden years, retiring and having the benefits of trips and and being active. But the sad thing is, a lot of folks, they don't have their health, and so they end up spending a fortune trying to get it back. And if I could help people at earlier phases of the business life cycle, the entrepreneurial life cycle, make sure that they have even more balance in their life by focusing on their fitness, I've felt that this would have a significant impact. And so that has been a tremendous focus for me, is to help entrepreneurs and business owners and really anybody that's at a season of life where they've had something happen. Maybe it's that a woman has had their children, and that phase of life has been so consuming that they've lost their health, and they need to get things back so that they can enjoy things in the future. But my purpose, I like to say that it's about healing people from the inside out and giving people a brighter future because of simple nutrition and exercise patterns that compound over a short period of time to then improve their quality of life so they can enjoy the relationships, they can enjoy those golden years.
Yeah, no, I think you, it's tough. I mean, as a, like you said, like a busy mother or a busy entrepreneur or business owner or a professional or whoever, I see a lot of people who they think that it's either or. They either have success in business or they have a fit body or a healthy body.
Yeah.
And that's just not true. It really is not true.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember an entrepreneur, he shared a post with me that said, is it easier for someone to make $1 million or to get a six pack? And wondered what my thoughts were on it. And what's interesting is it seems to be that getting that six pack, and it doesn't have to be an actual six pack. It's more of a this proverbial six pack to say that you're in your best shape in a season of life. But I think that it's so easy to get lost in life, focused on check boxes that can really remove how focused we are on showing up for ourselves. And so I think transformation, it's something that when we look at a non-surgical approach, I think it's important for people to realize that people can be met where they're at and have a very guided approach with nutrition and exercise that doesn't necessarily mean that they are having to work out 5 times a week or that they're having to go on one of these fad diets, but a simple incremental progress process can get people remarkable results. And I think where you and I come together is there are some phases that make sense to have some things that help to expedite that progress a little bit. And unfortunately, there are a lot of folks that may be listening in that are at that season where they really do need to get their health back quickly. And I think this program should provide people a lot of hope, because transformation, it's not just something that can happen for your next door neighbor or somebody that you see in a social post, but it is a possibility for anybody that's watching this.
Absolutely. One of the things that I think is the core, I think it is the core of this program is this concept. And that concept is that we all know the strategy to have a healthy body. We all know the strategy on
Yeah,
how to lose weight, on how to build
yeah,
muscle, on how to be in shape. Like you eat less than you consume, you lift heavy things, you get your heart rate up, you'll be healthy. The problem is that we're
exactly.
humans. We're humans, and we have these things called emotions. And emotions are great. They're what leads to marriage and families and all the great things in life. They're also terrible because they lead to things like war and hatred
Mhm.
and they also get us stuck. Because you work out 3 days in a row and you don't notice any difference, and you feel like a failure. That's your emotions
Yeah,
talking. The
yeah,
really cool thing
that's
about
right.
our program is that it recognizes that. And so we know that you know the strategy. We know that you, as somebody who wants to transform your life, that you know the strategy on what to do. We're here to help you achieve that strategy. And that strategy is through a combination of talking about some things that we can do from a fitness and a nutrition standpoint, a supplement standpoint. That's where Lance comes in with XFit. So
Yeah.
that's a key part. Lance, I want you to talk about that in a second, but the other parts that are really important are sometimes you need a little bit of a boost. Sometimes, you've been starving yourself, or you feel like you've been starving yourself and you don't see the weight loss that you expect. So giving you a little bit of a boost with something like a GLP-1 agonist, like semaglutide or tirzepatide can help. Making sure that your hormones are in the right situation. Sometimes just giving a little tiny bump in testosterone or shifting someone's hormones around can help them have that extra energy they need to actually do that. Part of it is teaching you kind of what goes on up here in terms of, hey, listen, I know you're going to feel overwhelmed. Try not to. Only do 10 minutes. Don't think you need to do an hour, do 10 minutes. Like little things like that. And then also other things, whether that's cool sculpting or some other measures that we have to kind of help give you a boost and a kick forward will really help. Lance, one of the things that I really love about XFit is that you design workouts that are for that person, but you do a lot more than that. Could you maybe talk about that a little bit and how powerful that is, like what you see?
Yeah, I'd love to. And I appreciate you talking about GLP-1s and this and cool sculpting. And again, these things have a place for a person in their wellness journey. And what Dr. Ward and I want to do is we want to meet people where they're at. And so I think it's important to understand that in this process, there are a few steps that will help us to best define what a person's fitness journey looks like. And the very first thing that you can expect from us is that we will have an application that will help us to understand what a day in a life looks like. And so that's nutritionally, that's with movement and activity with the gym, if that is something that's happening. But also, um, we will then take that information and then understand what your experience has been with fitness and nutrition, and actually get on a call and try to learn as much as we can about some of the things that you've done in your life. Life is about peaks and valleys, and a quote I love is I love it on the mountaintop, but it's in the valley where I grow. And there are a lot of people in these valley moments. They've been to these high fitness peaks, and we don't necessarily need to always get back to the same peak. I think mountain peaks become very different at different seasons of life. But in a valley phase where we're regrouping and we're trying to figure out what fitness could look like in your season of life, we will have this wellness discussion. And then step one is to actually get some baseline lab orders to determine hormonally how are things, how balanced are things in your body. And this is something that Dr. Ward will actually talk through and help you to understand what your blood work is actually telling us. And then I will then talk about a fitness program that lines up with a four-phased approach where we have this valley phase, a ramp phase, a growth phase, and a peak phase. So these four phases that will help us to get to this ultimate fitness goal that we're working backward from. And in that, again, there could be regular blood work to show progress. It could be that for a period of time we have semaglutide as an intermittent part of this. Certainly, cool sculpting, and perhaps for some there may be some actual hormone replacement therapy. And I'd be interested to have you just talk to what hormone replacement therapy really means, because I know that's kind of a hype word to say, and not a lot of people understand it.
Yeah, so hormone replacement is hormones are tricky. They change, of course, during the course of a day quite a bit. They change during the course of a week and a month and stuff like that. Um, it's a little bit of a mystery in the sense of we don't know exactly what they mean. We know they affect things. We all know they affect things. Like every single one of us knows how they affect us to some degree. But making sure that we get your hormones right is a way to kind of help increase the balance. And it's crazy how you do a little tweak with hormones, maybe not even a dramatic one, but you do a little bit of a tweak of your hormones. And all of a sudden, you can lift a little bit more in the gym, or you do feel a little less fatigued, or you are able to get out of bed or a little bit earlier in the morning to get that walk in or get that workout in. There's just something about it that makes it work well. And I don't think this is something that necessarily needs to be, none of these medication options, I don't think they necessarily need to be forever. I think some of them would ideally be short term or intermediate term sort of length. But our goal is to use those as kind of a springboard to get you
Yes.
the result that you want to get the momentum going. Once you have the momentum, your brain will take care of it on your own. The things that
Yes.
Lance teaches will just help transform people in terms of this is just what I do. No, I just work out for whatever 20 minutes every day. It's just part of my life. And that once that becomes a habit, it becomes ingrained, then your brain will take care of you forever.
Yes. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. And a big part of this whole process is to better align hormones of testosterone and growth hormone, but also to get hunger hormones realigned. Hunger hormones are something that often I find are the first thing that starts to line up. And people find that they don't have the cravings anymore because they're even more nutritionally balanced. And so we'll reorganize a lot of the things that you're doing already such that the hormonal balance of each meal satiates you and has you feeling like you're actually utilizing more of the food, and actually that will be the case. And as we do coaching with you, you'll find that there's a lot of education to help you to be aware of what's actually happening with your body so that you'll have even more of an incentive to eat to the prescribed meal plan and to exercise, whether that's at home or whether that's at a gym or whether that's with one of our coaches in a clubhouse. We're extremely flexible. But again, I think it's important to remember that we'll meet you where you're at and have a very scaled approach that is very customized. And at the end of the day, I think you'll absolutely be amazed at the number one most important result in this whole process. And that's really the result that you'll see when you get out of the shower and you take a look at yourself in the mirror. It's confidence. And it comes through small incremental gains that along the way may require some things medically to help further expedite things, but the whole process of this getting to your ultimate goals is about long-term health and wellness.
Absolutely. And you said the C word, confidence. That is what it's about. It is just about confidence and feeling your best, going through life, feeling on top of things. I wanted to go back just a little bit. There's something that I had was going to mention earlier that I think is so powerful. When you were talking about the way that we kind of present ourselves and how we want to live our life, it really is about our confidence and putting your best foot forward. And there's different phases for each of us. The other thing I wanted to mention is I think sometimes people hear, oh, we're going to educate you about nutrition and about fitness. And they just like, eyes glaze over. I don't want to go through like a class or whatever. I think the reason that's so important and the way that we do that is different with this program because that education is meant to be a motivation. Because again, it's all in our mind. If we get our mind set where we want it to be, then the motivation follows. And so the education that's provided is not like, okay, well, here's how you count your macros and here's why this is more. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
that's
definitely
right.
part of it. But it's also about learning about that so that it seems less hard to stay on that diet or just to change your diet because for so many people they get so intimidated like well, I don't want to give up mashed potatoes and cake and all the great things in life. Who wants to do that?
That's right.
If you look at somebody like Lance, who's like a bodybuilder and won like competitions, you look at him, it's like, gosh, is he miserable all the time because he doesn't eat anything? No, he's like a happy guy and he's happy and he does it because he's figured out how to educate himself so that it
Yep.
does not feel like a sacrifice to skip those things that are poisoning his body. And I think that's powerful.
Yes. Yes. It is powerful, and I appreciate you sharing that, because as things become realigned in some cases with the body's hormones, you'll find that there are also worldviews that we will debunk as we have coaching sessions, as we provide education. You'll learn how important it is not just to look at what the scale says, but other measures of success with energy output. Maybe if you get sick, you'll find your body is healing faster. You have faster recovery from exercise. You'll have a feeling intuitively to want to move more regularly. Relationships will just start to improve, you'll find, because you'll start showing up more for other people because of how you're showing up for yourself. And so all of these things said, we are absolutely thrilled to present this transformation wellness program. We think it'll be one of the best investments at this season of life. And the key is really just to remember that wherever you're at in your fitness journey, your fitness success is never earned. Sorry, your fitness success is never owned. It's rented, and the rent's due every day for me just as much as it is for you. But that doesn't mean that it has to be arduous. We will meet you where you're at and take a very simple and very customized approach to help you to live your best life.
That's it. You said it, those last words, live your best life. That's what we all want, right? We all want to live our best life. We want to be there for our spouse, for our children, for our friends, for our family members, for ourselves. And as crazy as it sounds, the best way to kind of care for others is to care for yourself first. And this is a huge part of it. Well,
Yes.
Lance, thank you. Where can we go to learn more?
Well, so for right now, there is some information on the Ward Institute's website. And if you want to learn a little bit more about what you can expect with what other clients have done with XFit, xfitcoaching.com is our company. And again, this program is something we're actually merging two dynamics to provide one wellness program that we anticipate being the most impactful program. And I'm just absolutely thrilled, Dr. Ward, that you've considered me to be a part of this. And we'll continue to educate people more and more on what their expectations can be as time ensues.
Absolutely. You guys check it out. It will transform your life. And wouldn't it feel good? Just think about how that's going to feel good to do what Lance said, get out of the shower, feel confident, be like, gosh, I look great. Or go up to, you're giving a talk or you're in front of a meeting and to feel like confident, not be stressed about your gut or your love handles or whatever it is, and just feel
Mhm.
your best. And then the last thing I'll say, just to end, is, Lance said earlier when he's talking about entrepreneurs, is it easier to, earn $1 million or to have a six pack? I would argue that it's actually easier to do both than to do one or the other. Because when you change your mindset, when you can get to that discipline where you are, limiting the poison that you put into your body that's causing you to not get that six pack, you're going to learn
Mhm.
the discipline, the motivation to be able to, that's required to create that business. So Lance, thanks for your
Yes.
time. I hope you guys have all enjoyed this. Please let us know if you have questions.